Valentino Rossi's last race win came in Barcelona. That is a long, long gap for Yamaha.
Yeah, it certainly is. A barren run of 7 without a win for Rossi, 8 in a row without a win for Lorenzo. Rossi's first pole position since the Italian Grand Prix in Mugello, his 3rd pole of the season so far.
He's suffering from a really heavy cold, and he really quite croaky yesterday, wasn't he? And he is slightly worried about the 24-lap race because such a physically demanding circuit here. Over a third of the distance of the circuit, they're on the brakes.
They are, yeah. Takaki Kimura, Yamaha Motor Company Vice President, so all the big hitters from the world of motorsport and the automotive industry are here to watch this 24-lap race unfold. Can Valentino Rossi gate crash the Honda party here at the Twin Rim Motegi? He's gate crashed a few parties in the past, Dylan.
Well, yeah, guys, before we go into the Japanese manufacturers, I thought let's talk with Alvaro Bautista for a minute, because Alvaro, well, here you've got an upgraded engine. In qualifying, it already seemed to work pretty well. What are you expecting for the race? Top 10?
Yeah, that is our target, no? I think we worked really well during all the weekend, but now in the race, our target is to finish in the top 10, no, like we did in the last races, and we'll see, no? We have to be patient and try to get good feeling in the race, and then I think we are able to fight for it.
Track conditions, there are a few doubts about which front tyre might be the correct one. I see you've got the medium. Are you thinking about maybe going to the hard?
No, because already with medium tire for straight braking is maybe in the soft side, but then when we go in the corner, in the edge, in the maximum angle, I feel a bit hard. So for me, medium is for our option is the best.
Okay, thank you very much, Alvaro. Good luck.
Yeah, he's had a good weekend, up and down weekend, Alvaro Bautista on the Aprilia, because he's a race winner here in the 250cc class. A couple of crashes. He got the Aprilia into qualifying 2, but then crashed out in qualifying 2. Which is a real shame, because he'd done a brilliant job. Him and Bradl are really putting some miles and some good performances together on the Aprilia. It's quite sad, really. They're both leaving at the end of the season.
Yeah, they are to be replaced, of course, by Aleix Espargaro and Sam Lowes. There'll be a few late conversations going on the grid about that front tyre choice. Aleix Espargaro, he's firmly in the zone. Suzuki used to be dominant here at the Twin Rim Motegi. When we first came here in 1999, Suzuki and Kenny Roberts Jr. won the first 2 races. He also won in 2000, way back in the 500cc 2-stroke era. Hasn't been so much of a happy hunting ground of late, though, for Suzuki. The best since 2002 in the new 4-stroke era was a 5th place for John Hopkins in 2005. But Aleix Espargaro could be matching or bettering that this afternoon, because he's looked really strong all weekend. Dylan.
Yeah, guys, I'm going to bring you down onto the grid with Massimo Meregali from Yamaha. Mayo, first of all, the big question is Jorge. He did the warm-up. He looked pretty fit. How's he feeling, though?
Yeah, he said what he said this morning, that he was feeling quite stiff, more compared to yesterday, but it's normal. I don't know if at the end he decided to take some painkiller, but I think so. Nothing else. He was quite comfortable and confident for the race.
We're hearing, or well, we've seen Cal Crutchlow. He's already gone up to the hard option front tyre. We know with you guys, maybe Jorge was even considering the soft. Do you have any doubts? Because we know at the moment you guys have medium front.
Yeah, Jorge, until maybe a couple of hours ago, he was more thinking going on the soft spec, but now he changed his mind and he decided to go on the medium as all the others. I just check all the other, let's say, the strongest competitors, and we all are in the same tire choice.
Finally, Mayo, we saw obviously yesterday with the crash, the riders have to be careful on their first flying lap. Have you spoken to the riders and said, look, make sure you warm this rear tyre well?
No, they don't know by themselves.
Thank you very much, Mayo.
I think Jorge Lorenzo would probably say, you don't need to remind me after what happened to him yesterday. It was his first flying lap on the tyre, wasn't it? He'd actually done a 1 lap. Dovizioso, could he cause a surprise from the second row of the grid? He's been in very good form this weekend. He led the way the first practice session on Friday morning. He's put that Ducati on the second row of the grid, qualified in 4th place. So we say not a great record here for Andrea Dovizioso, but Well, out of all the riders that have not won a Grand Prix this season, he's probably the only one you'd pick out now, because so many have been ticked off the list.
Yeah, you won't want to get stuck behind Andrea Dovizioso in the early part of this race. If there's one thing that Andrea Dovizioso excels at, it's hard braking. He's a demon late braker, and the Ducati excels in braking stability as well. So Andrea Dovizioso, a good start. Could see him riding contention, Dylan.
You guys a little bit further down the grid. I'm down here with Bradley Smith. Bradley, such a tough weekend for you. We heard it's not so much the pain, but the mobility, but I'm sure over race distance, I mean, it is going to hurt a bit.
Yeah, so it's a tough weekend and it's still not finished. So we've got the hardest point this afternoon. But I'm here, I struggled for 7 weeks, so 40 minutes is going to feel like a doddle. So just put my head down, see what I can do, find my own rhythm. I know that I've only got a maximum pace because of what I can do on the bike, but hopefully it's good enough to stay with the back group today. And yeah, you never know, I might surprise myself.
Thank you very much, Bradley. Good luck.
Yeah, we're talking about Lorenzo. Bradley Smith. The injury, had severe knee ligament injury with 2 operations. Footballers and skiers who get that can be out for a year. He's back in 7 weeks.
Yeah, Bradley Smith, it's going to be a tough old race for him. The longest run he's done in a row in terms of laps this weekend has been 6. That's only the quarter of the race distance, so a third of the race distance rather. So yeah, Bradley Smith's got to grit his teeth for 40 minutes.
Here's Maverick Vinales. 4 more races left for him with Suzuki, of course, before he joins Yamaha in that Valencia test in the middle of November. We've just got confirmation that we'll be going out live with me and Matt, so you better enjoy that one. It's going to be interesting, so many changes.
Yep, 100th Grand Prix start for Maverick Vinales today. No better place to do it than in front of all the Japanese hierarchy from Suzuki. Danilo Petrucci there in 10th place on the grid. He's only had 1 finish in 4 previous Japanese Grand Prix, Petrucci. That was an 18th place in 2013, so he's never scored a point here in Japan. Sorry to remind you about that, Danilo.
Yeah, crash here on a Saturday morning. It's quite ironic that he's alongside Scott Redding on the grid, isn't it? Because there's a fair old rivalry going on between those two at the moment. Here's Alvaro Bautista, done really well on the Aprilia. It was disappointing. He got the Aprilia into qualifying too. Stefan Bradl did the Grand Prix before in Aragon, and then he crashed out.
Guys, sorry to interrupt. I'm just down here with Lucio Cecchinello from LCR. Lucio, very interesting decision you guys have taken, Cal, to go with that harder option front. Do you truly feel that it's hot enough out there for it?
Well, he get always a little bit more front tire temperature, and we always struggle a little bit with the front tire at the end of the race. So, of course, it's a little bit risky choice for the first part of the race, but Cal decided to go for this solution, and we believe and we support his choice.
He had a pretty strong pace yesterday, especially in free practice 4. Do you think there could be a podium in it?
Well, all the other competitors are very tough, but I can see that there are not so big gap between them, so anything can happen.
Thank you very much, Lucio.
Yeah, here's Stefan Bradl on the other Aprilia. Grand Prix winner here, 2008 in the 125cc class. Crash on Friday afternoon, 10th in Aragon, 16th in the World Championship, and also a crash for him in qualifying 1. 4 more rides in MotoGP for Stefan Bradl before he departs to the World Superbike Championship. Oh, and Jack Miller's had a right whole weekend, hasn't he?
Yeah, he doesn't get on very well with this twin-room Motegi circuit. He crashed twice in the race last year. He's had 3 crashes already so far this weekend, Dylan. Yeah,
guys, I've just managed to grab a Paolo Ciabatti from Ducati. Paolo, you're in 4th place here, but I think lots of people are thinking back to Austria, you know, hard acceleration zones. Do you think with Dobby there could be a win in it?
Well, I think for sure we should be in the position to fight for podium. Hopefully we manage to do that. I think Dovi has a very good race pace, but is also a very demanding circuit for the bike and for the rider. So let's see. I think also Hector, if he gets a good start, has a possibility to stay with the leading group. So, you know, he has a slightly different tire choice in the front from Dovi. So Dovi is with the medium and Hector with the soft. Let's see how it works.
Okay, thank you very much, Paolo.
Yeah, will be interesting to see. Here we go. The Japanese test rider Kazuki Yuki Nakasuga Podium finisher in Valencia 2012, of course the Japanese World Superbike champion, also the winner of the Suzuka 8-hour race for the last 2 years. He was another faller, Nakasuka, but as you can see, perfectly okay. He went down on Saturday morning.
Looks like there's some information coming through from Michelin that Cal Crutchlow and Loris Baz are the two riders that have gone for that hard front tyre option. Everybody apart from Yoni Hernandez, it looks like, is on the soft rear. Soft front tyres have been chosen by Hiroshi Oyama, Hector Barbera, Bradley Smith, Mike Jones, of course, is replacing Hector Barbera in the Avinci Ducati team, and Yoni Hernandez.
It's a big range, isn't it? You know, some going on soft, the majority on medium, and there you go, Loris Baz and Cal Crutchlow going on hard. I mean, I don't think there is the biggest difference between them all. Well, I think we'd imagine so. Dylan, you're the expert.
Well, one thing to look out for is Michelin said 35 degrees Celsius. That's more or less the track temperature you need for that hard option tyre to work. So, should we get a bit of cloud cover, should it get a little bit more chilly, I think that's when we might potentially see a few problems.
Marquez up the inside.
Second victory in a row.
What a move by Lorenzo. Marquez fights
Lorenzo's got another one. Unbelievable. You know, he's totally
He brought down the championship lead. Rossi fights back. The master. Jack Miller has won here in Assen.
Ducati are going to win in MotoGP again.
Amazing battle for second place. Cal Crutchlow wins here in Brno.
Oh, that's really aggressive from Marc Marquez.
He's got upstairs inside now. Maverick Vinales wins here at Silverstone.
Oh, they didn't touch.
And they touched.
Pedrosa leads.
The 8th winner this season.
Massive mistake by Marquez.
It's gone up the inside. Really good battle. Marquez leads the way.
Well, Rossi makes his move. Second place over for Rossi.
Marquez wins. What's next? The 24-lap Grand Prix of Japan, round 15 of the World Championship, will be underway in 4 minutes' time. So let's have a look at this tyre choice. Rossi, Marquez and Lorenzo, all sticking really to the convention. So Lorenzo, third fastest despite the crash on the front row. Marc Marquez dominated practice but couldn't take pole position. In pole position, the 37-year-old, 9 times world champion, his third pole of the season, Valentino Rossi. So, warm welcome back to Japan. I'm Nick Harris, alongside me Matt Burt. Down in pit lane, it's Dylan Gray. It's 24 laps, and Valentino Rossi in pole.
Joined on the front row by Marc Marquez, who can win the World Championship today, and the reigning world champion Jorge Lorenzo. Row 2, Andrea Dovizioso, Cal Crutchlow, one of only 2 riders who's opted for that hard front tyre. They're on the second row with Aleix Espargaro.
Third row of the grid, Maverick Vinales, Hector Barbera on the factory Ducati and Pole Espargaro, Danilo Petrucci and Scott Redding, that should be fun, and Alvaro Bautista.
Row 5 headed by Stefan Bradl. Jack Miller, 3 crashes for him so far this weekend. Bradley Smith also on row 5. Nakasuga, the wild card. Yoni Hernandez and former Moto2 world champion Tito Rabat on row 6. Eugene Laverty after a big crash at turn 6 yesterday in 19th. Baz and Jones. Mike Jones, the Australian debutant, replacing Hector Barbera. And Hiroshi Oyama, of course, 22nd place on the Repsol Honda machine of the absent Danny Pedrosa.
Perfect conditions for round 15 of the championship. Marc Marquez, well, dominated practice, 1-4 for him on Friday afternoon when he slid off at turn 10. But then a couple of mistakes in qualifying. But he's very happy to be in the middle of that front row of the grid as he chases his first ever MotoGP victory here at the Motegi Twin Ring Circuit. Final chat with Dylan. It's really nice to come down to you in pit lane, Dylan, and we really haven't got to talk about the weather, have we?
No, not at all. No, for once it's absolutely perfect. Great sunshine here. I cannot remember a day quite this nice in Motegi. It's not even like we have a cool wind here, so perfect conditions to go racing.
And tyre choice is quite interesting, but the majority sticking to the same.
Yeah, we're not going to have a large difference, and I think, you know, like they said with Cal Crutchlow, maybe there could be a little bit of a problem if the temperature drops, but apart from that, it's going to be pretty much a straight shooter, and I think that is quite nice because it's not going to be a situation where we can blame the tyres after the race.
It's halfway around the circuit. That's the first of the tunnels. Of course, this circuit, it is the only circuit in Japan that has an oval round the outside. Boy, Lorenzo, 3 times winner here in the MotoGP class. But a massive accident, yes. So just confirmation of the weather, look. 25 degrees centigrade, the air temperature, the track temperature way up in the 30s. Very little wind around. Yeah, great for spectators. There looks like a really decent crowd here today, and great for riders.
Yeah, that ambient temperature really was what forced Jorge Lorenzo's hand to go through that medium option front tyre. His preference, he felt throughout practice and qualifying, was to run that soft.
This is down towards the 90-degree corner, and that's where the majority of the fans are. They're canning these Japanese. They know where all the action's going to be, don't they?
Yeah, there's nearly 53,000 of them here at the Twin Rim Motegi today, just over 52,000, and about to watch the action unfold. Marc Marquez, as we said, can win the world title. If he wins the race, Rossi no higher than 15th and Lorenzo no higher than 4th. That's the scenario, unlikely as it is, for Marc Marquez to win his 3rd MotoGP World Championship in 4 years.
So Valentino Rossi in pole position for the 64th time, the 3rd time this season for the 37-year-old Italian. Joining him on the front row of the grid, the championship leader, Marc Marquez, and Jorge Lorenzo, the world champion, fighting to hang on to his crown. It's 24 laps of this 4.801 kilometre, 2.983 mile circuit. We're in Japan, round 15 of the MotoGP World Championship is underway.
Great start from the middle of the front row by Marc Marquez. It looks like he's got that run down to the first corner. It is. Marquez leads the way. Lorenzo's up the inside of Valentino Rossi, who's already pushed back to 3rd. Has Lorenzo picked up Marquez at turn number 2? He has. Marquez got the whole shot. Lorenzo leads already, though.
Yeah, Lorenzo races down towards turn 3, but Rossi up into 2nd place. Marquez coming under big pressure from Aleix Espargaro. Great work by the 2 Yamaha riders. I think Marquez has got back up the inside of Valentino Rossi. Take it easy. Get those tyres warm. I don't know what you're talking about.
Look at Aleix Espargaro. He's getting busy. He's up the inside of Valentino Rossi down at turn number 5. So Aleix Espargaro already up 3 places from 6 on the grid. Rossi attacks back at turn number 6. He does not want to let Marquez and Lorenzo get away at the front. Rossi did make it through back into 3rd.
Lorenzo really on the charge at the front. That's where he loves to be. So Lorenzo leads the way. Marquez in 2nd place. There is Rossi. Cal Crutchlow in behind Aleix Espargaro. This is turn 9. Up to 10 and the hairpin.
Yeah, Andrea Dovizioso in 6th. He's just ahead of Maverick Vinales. A little bit further back is Pol Espargaro. Up at turn number 10 for the first time. Then Lorenzo leads from Marquez. Marquez got a great start from the middle of that front row on the Honda. Not an easy bike to launch off the line with that aggressive motor, but Lorenzo was brilliantly up the inside of him at turn number 2.
Braking from 300 kilometres an hour to 75 kilometres an hour down into that 90-degree corner. Dovizioso's got past Cal Crutchlow, up through the 2 left-handers into the victory corner.
Yeah, textbook move by Dovizioso on the brakes ahead of Cal Crutchlow, so he's up in a 5th place. Starts the chase on Aleix Espargaro. Lorenzo leads at the end of the first lap then from Marquez, Rossi, Aleix Espargaro, Dovizioso, Crutchlow and Vinales. That top 7 already breaking away from the chasing pack, which is being led by Pol Espargaro.
Down towards turns 3 and 4. Double apex left. Rossi again thinks about getting up the inside of Marquez as he got through. Rossi has got through on the Honda. Can he make it stick? No, he runs it wide, and Marquez back into 2nd.
Yeah, just got in a fraction too hot. Valentino Rossi just couldn't hold the line through that turn 3 and 4. And he's not going to be close enough at turn 5 to retaliate on Marquez.
Brilliant start by Aleix Espargaro on the Suzuki. He's really hanging in with these top men. Marquez all over the rear wheel of, Rossi all over the rear wheel of Marquez. Here he comes up into turn 7, and Rossi, can he make it stick this time round? No, he's done it again, and Marquez almost wipes him. So they go through turn 8.
Brilliant by Marquez around the outside of Valentino Rossi at turn number 8. That was brave and audacious in the extreme. Maverick Vinales has taken 6th place from Cal Crutchlow. That was under the first tunnel coming through turn number 6. So Crutchlow just maybe struggling a little bit with that hard option Michelin front tyre. Getting feisty though between Marquez and Rossi.
Certainly is. Onto the downhill straight. About 700 metres long, and they break from 300 kilometres an hour down to 75. No overtaking this time round. Aleix Espargaro, though, pulls right up on Valentino Rossi as they go through the second of the tunnels.
Yeah, Dovizioso making no impression on Aleix Espargaro at the moment. They're about to come out and complete the second lap. Lorenzo powers out of victory corner. Marquez in second place. Lorenzo just putting the best lap of the race so far, a 1:46.038. What a move though by Marquez around the outside of Rossi at turn number 8.
And they come to 3 and 4 once again. We ride with Jorge Lorenzo. Took the lead coming out of turn 2 at the start of the race from Marc Marquez, and is trying to build up some advantage. And while they scrape paint Valentino Rossi and Marc Marquez, it will really suit Jorge Lorenzo at the front.
Yeah, Lorenzo's advantage is up to over half a second then. Vinales just pulling out a few bike lengths on Cal Crutchlow in that battle for 6th place. Paul Espargaro's 8th, Hector Barber 9th, Petrucci completing the top 10. Bautista, Redding, Miller and Bradle and Nakasuga the wild card on the factory Yamaha, the point scoring places at the moment.
It's just settled down a little bit now after that frantic opening couple of laps. Settled down into some sort of pattern. They won't want Lorenzo to get away at the front. I think looking at race pace that we've seen throughout practice, Marquez is quite capable of not letting Lorenzo get away at the front. And Rossi may be content to sit behind Marquez
There's
at the
a
moment.
faller at turn number 9. We just saw at the top of your picture there. There was a crasher at turn number 9. I think it was Eugene Laverty. Laverty's dropping down the order. I think Eugene Laverty on the Aspar Ducati's gone down at turn 9. Yes, it was indeed Eugene Laverty. So it's been an awful weekend for the Irish rider. Big crash at turn 6 in FP2 on Friday afternoon.
We ride with Marquez in his face. Many times we said that familiar number 46 is the pole setter. Valentino Rossi through these double left and then into right. Rossi closes up through the victory corner. They cross the line, still 21 laps to go here in Japan.
Proud record coming to an end then for Eugene Laverty. He'd finished every Grand Prix so far this year. Rossi closes up on Marc Marquez through those first couple of corners. Marquez and Rossi traded fastest laps of the race. They were both able to duck into the 1:45s last time around. Fastest one was Rossi, a 1:45.722. That was 0.3 of a second quicker than the race leader Lorenzo.
We ride with Valentino Rossi in front of him, Marc Marquez, coming out of turn 4, coming down now towards 5. There's a difficult right-hander. This is where Cal Crutchlow crashed yesterday in qualifying through the first of the tunnels as the oval runs over the top of the circuit. We ride with Marquez momentarily into the darkness, and they flash out into turn 6.
Yeah, Marquez is starting to look pretty menacing behind Lorenzo now in the battle for the lead. How long will Jorge Lorenzo's battered body hold up? Of course, his physical condition nowhere near 100%. Marquez closes right up through turn 8. This is where he made that brilliant move on Rossi a couple of laps ago. Is he up the inside of Lorenzo at turn 9? You bet he is. Marc Marquez leads the Japanese Grand Prix.
He's on the charge, Marquez. You get the feeling he really fancies this. And the Yamahas are going to have a hang on there really, really tight. Up at turn 10. Marquez leads the way as they race down towards the 90-degree corner. Just over 21 laps remaining of this Japanese Grand Prix here at Motegi. And Rossi up the inside of Lorenzo, but Lorenzo having nothing of it.
Well, Marquez's pace throughout practice and qualifying has suggested that should he get to the front of this Grand Prix, he's got the rhythm and the speed to make a breakaway from the pack. He's already pulled out, what, 5 or 6 bike lengths on Lorenzo as they come through victory corner for the 4th time. Marc Marquez leads the way from Jorge Lorenzo and Valentino Rossi. The top 3 qualifiers, top 3 in this race. Aleix Espargaro doing a great job of holding off Andrea Dovizioso in that battle for 4th place. Maverick Vinales has just put in his personal best lap of the race, a 1:45.8.
We do get the feeling that this race could well be decided. It's early doors, but it could easily be decided in the next 3 or 4 laps, couldn't it?
Marquez
really the outcome at the front.
Yeah, Marquez really upped his pace last time around. He got into the high 145s. He was 0.6 of a second faster than Lorenzo last time around, about 0.3 quicker than Rossi. Vinales, you can see there just at the top of your picture, he's being able to break away from Cal Crutchlow in that battle for 6th place. Vinales just edging towards that battle between Dovizioso and his teammate Aleix Espargaro.
Well, the 2 Yamaha riders headed by Lorenzo are hanging on by their fingernails. Rossi right behind Lorenzo, urging him to push on, push on. They don't want Marquez to go away at the front. And Rossi trying to make a move on Lorenzo. They're coming down now to turn 9. The little short straight that brings them into turn 10. And the favourite overtaking place at this circuit, the infamous turn 11. This is up at the hairpin.
Yeah, there's a lot at stake here between Rossi and Lorenzo, of course, fighting for 2nd place in the World Championship. There's 14 points splitting the 2 factory Yamaha men. Marc Marquez has now moved 0.4 of a second clear of Jorge Lorenzo in that 3rd split on lap number 5. Yeah, Cal Crutchlow's really struggling at the moment to go away with Andrea Dovizioso, Maverick Vinales and Aleix Espargaro.
Here are the 2 Yamahas in pursuit of Marc Marquez. It'll be interesting when they cross the line. There'll be 19 laps ago what the gap is, because it is getting bigger all the time. Marquez crosses the line now, and the gap is, just over half a second, and the fastest lap of the race, a 1:45.577 from Marquez.
Yeah, Rossi's got to try and find a way through on Jorge Lorenzo very, very quickly, because he's in danger of letting Marc Marquez get away here. Rossi just can't get close enough at all to attack Lorenzo on the brakes at any point so far. Lorenzo's been superb on the brakes in the early 5.5 laps of this race. The gap between Rossi and Aleix Espargaro, 1.1 seconds.
This is at turn 5. There are the 2 Yamahas. Marquez already through the first part of the bridge, the tunnel, whatever you want to call it. And that gap would be 61 points, and that would be very nice indeed going into that 16th round of the championship at Phillip Island in Australia in just a week's time. And Marquez would have a real chance then of clinching the world title. Rossi all over the rear wheel of his teammate, and Rossi has gone through. Can he make it stick? Rossi up into 2nd place.
He had to do it. He had to find a way through. He had to pick the lock sooner or later on Lorenzo. He's through at turn number 9. That's where Lorenzo lost the lead in this race to Marc Marquez just a couple of laps ago. So Valentino Rossi has finally forced his way up into 2nd place. What's the gap between himself and Marc Marquez, the race leader? It's almost 0.9 of a second.
Yeah, and it would make the gap now 57 points. So not a great deal of difference, but just a little bit. We ride with Rossi through the 90-degree corner, through the tunnel, into the 2 lefts. And then victory corner coming up. There will be 18 laps to go. A long, long way to go still.
Andrea Dovizioso's taken 4th place from Aleix Espargaro, so the factory Ducati man has finally found his way through. Fastest lap of the race again for Marquez, 1:45.576, just over a couple of tenths of a second quicker than Valentino Rossi. 9/10 is the gap. What can Valentino Rossi do there now? Can he hunt down Marc Marquez? Aleix Espargaro coming under pressure as well now from his factory Suzuki teammate Vinales. Crutchlow in 7th place. It's a lonely 7th at the moment for the British rider, because he's 3 seconds clear of Pol Espargaro in 8th.
Doing a decent job though, Crutchlow, because that harder compounder front tyre should come into his advantage a little bit later on in the race, and he hasn't really been dropped, has he?
Jack Miller has crashed out at turn number 1. Jack Miller, that's his 4th crash of this Japanese Grand Prix weekend. Not the result that Jack Miller wanted to be taking home to Australia. His crucial home race at Phillip Island in a week's time. Just want to try and erase from the memory bank this one for Jack Miller.
The glimpse then of Dovizioso in 4th place. Rossi certainly is gapping his teammate Jorge Lorenzo. There is...
that'll be a front-end washout for Jack Miller.
Poor old Jack Miller having a wretched time, all the pressure on him. He's okay, that is the main thing. He will be all right for Phillip Island. Of course, winner in Assen.
Where's Rossi gone? Rossi's down. Valentino Rossi's down at turn 10. Rossi's gone. Valentino Rossi's crashed. Down at turn number 10. Valentino Rossi's got his right leg stuck under that factory Yamaha. I just saw Marc Marquez come through, and then it was Jorge Lorenzo. Valentino Rossi has perished at turn number 10.
Well, any chance he had of preventing Marquez win the world title probably has disappeared in that cloud of dust here at Motegi. Valentino Rossi trying to restart the Yamaha. He's got it going again, but out of second place. And Marc Marquez cruising away at the front, Lorenzo. And a good old battle now going on for third place between Dovizioso, Aleix Espargaro and Maverick Vinales. There you go, 71-point advantage it would be for Marquez, with Lorenzo moving into second place.
Disaster for Rossi. It's his 4th DNF of the season, his 3rd self-inflicted crash. He's already coming back into the pit lane. Rossi, of course, crashed out in Texas. He crashed out of the lead in Aston, was on pole position. Bit of a pole position curse for Valentino Rossi. The last time he was on pole position was in Mugello, when his Yamaha YZR M1 engine went pop on him. So it looks like it is Japanese Grand Prix finito for Valentino Rossi.
He's off. Let's have a look.
Here he is, on board with Lorenzo. Rossi, front end, just washing out from underneath him. Maybe he was just a fraction offline, just trailing the brake a little bit too long into the turn. But what is not up for debate is the fact that Valentino Rossi is out of this Japanese Grand Prix, and Marc Marquez now has a comfortable 1.8 second lead over the man in second place, Jorge Lorenzo.
Team still looking at the bike, what repairs they can make, but well, little point you would say now of Valentino Rossi going back out there. Oh, cruel end for Valentino Rossi, the pole setter. His race is over. Steps into the darkness of the pit lane garage. And we ride with Rossi.
Yeah, the classic front end washout at turn 10. Pretty lucky actually, Valentino Rossi, because he's got his right leg stuck underneath that
Trapped
Yamaha.
under the bike, yeah. Rossi is okay, but Rossi out of the race. Marquez, 1.7 second advantage over Lorenzo. It's going to be a really good battle though for third. Final podium position between the Ducati of Dovizioso, Aleix Espargaro and Maverick Vinales, and Cal Crutchlow.
Hector Barbara's down as well.
Oh, Hector Barbara on his Yamaha factory debut, also out. Turn 1, that's where Jack Miller crashed as well, wasn't it? Turn 1.
Yeah, there's a few riders pushing hard on the front end, and the front end's crying no more now, because we know that this circuit really does abuse and chew up front tyres. There's Hector Barbara, he's trying to get that Desmos GP machine going. He's got custody of it for this weekend from Andrea Iannone, who's out absent through injury. Yeah, front end again for Hector Barbara, a little bit further into the corner than Jack Miller was. Just rolling off the side of the tyre there, Hector Barbara.
Back at the front, that is the gap. We ride with Lorenzo as he brakes for the 90-degree corner. But this is Dovizioso. Aleix Espargaro is really hanging in there well in 4th place. Maverick Vinales, you can just see behind his teammate. Back with Marquez. Rossi out, they are telling Marquez.
Yeah, that was the pressure that Rossi was under from Marc Marquez. Marquez fired in a couple of fastest laps of the race, those mid-145s, and Rossi just pushing to try and go with Marquez, just lured into a mistake. Espargaro's just put in his personal best lap of the race. He's gone down to 146.522. He's running in a fairly lonely 7th place. He's 4 seconds behind Crutchlow, but 3.5 seconds clear of Petrucci.
Yeah, then Alvaro Bautista in 9th, 10th is Scott Redding, 11th Bradle, 12th is Nakasuga, 13th is Johnny Hernandez, Bradley Smith in the points at the moment in 14th, Tito Rabat 15th, Riava 16th, Loris Baz in 17th place. And it's going to be Mike Jones crossing the line any minute now on that Avintia Ducati, running
Rossi
in 90.
Valentino Rossi still hasn't even taken his helmet off yet. That's how frustrated he is inside that factory Yamaha garage. Cal Crutchlow, we're getting into the stage of the race now where he should have a bit more endurance out of that hard option front tyre which he selected. He was the only rider, apart from Loris Baz, that opted for that hard option front.
He fancies a podium finish here, Cal Crutchlow.
Well, let's not forget, Nick, with Rossi out of the race, if Lorenzo drops out of the top 4, Marquez is the world champion. Dovizioso and Aleix Espargaro. This is intriguing final 15 laps here, because with Rossi out of the equation and Marquez at the front of this Grand Prix, if Lorenzo finishes 5th, Marc Marquez will be the 2016 MotoGP World Champion.
There you go. Never say never in MotoGP. It could happen. You just tuned in. Valentino Rossi has crashed out of the race. Marquez leads from Lorenzo. This is Andrea Dovizioso in 3rd. Aleix Espargaro 4th. Maverick Vinales and Cal Crutchlow. If Lorenzo did get caught and drop below 4th place, Marquez would be the world champion with 3 rounds remaining.
And there's a question mark over Jorge Lorenzo's physical endurance. He is battered and bruised. How much longer will he be able to keep up this fast rhythm? There's a long, long way to go. We're not even at half race distance yet for Jorge Lorenzo. What's the gap between Lorenzo and Dovizioso now? It's 1.3 seconds. There's a further 4.5 tenths back to Aleix Espargaro in 4th. There's still an awful lot to happen for Marc Marquez to be the world champion this year. But a mistake from Jorge Lorenzo, and then it is definitely game, set and match.
This is Lorenzo. Don't expect he's worked the maths out in his head, and Valentino Rossi's helmet is now off. Crash for him at turn 10, you can see he's perfectly okay. We ride with him, let's have a listen. Oh, we ride with Lorenzo, sorry, and it's him in front.
Yeah, Lorenzo had a box office seat for Rossi's crash.
He just get his leg trapped under the bike. Yeah. And there you go. They're telling Lorenzo also that Rossi is out of the race. Here is Marquez. Lorenzo appears over the rise at well over 300 kilometers an hour as they brake hard now for the 90-degree corner. When they cross the line, there will be 13 laps to go. We're not even at half distance.
Well, of course, Jorge Lorenzo now with Rossi out will inherit 2nd place in the World Championship as well.
And that's, to be honest, for many Grand Prix, that's all he's really been hoping for, isn't it? I think he realised quite a time ago he's not going to retain his world title. But boy, does he want to beat his teammate. Here is Lorenzo, Dovizioso. The gap between them, 1.1 second. They're eking away at him.
Shout out to Aleix Espargaro. He's just come across the line at the start of lap number 12. Just won his personal best lap of the race at 1:45.875. That was just a fraction slower than the race leader Marc Marquez. Brilliant by Aleix Espargaro, the 27-year-old, who's had no top 6, as we said, since Le Mans. That's 9 races ago. So he's really having an outstanding Japanese Grand Prix.
And you've got to say, it's always going to happen. Petrucci and Redding, they're going to scrap it out, the 2 teammates, every time round. Good performances again by the Aprilias. Battista running in 8th place and Bradl in 11th. There is Battista, then Petrucci, then Redding, and at the back of that group, Stefan Bradl. 13 to go, not even at half distance. Big gap at the front, but now all eyes are focused on. It's not a battle at the moment for 2nd place.
Alvaro Bautista's on course here to equal his best ever Aprilia result. That was an 8th in Barcelona back in June, and it would be a 4th successive top 10 finish for Bautista on the Aprilia, so he's doing an outstanding job. Now, Dovizioso and Aleix Espargaro, visually up at turn number 10, look like they are narrowing that gap. Let's have a check as they come through that 3rd sector. It's down to under a second. Dovizioso to Lorenzo, 9/10 of a second.
Here is Lorenzo down at the 90-degree corner. Half distance just coming up. Just remind you, if he does not finish above 4th place and Marc Marquez wins the race, Marc Marquez will be crowned the 2016 MotoGP World Champion, with Valentino Rossi crashing out from pole position. Boy, the old nails are going to be bitten down in that Honda garage.
Another personal best lap last time around for Aleix Espargaro. He's the man with the hot pace at the moment in this top 4. Again, just a fraction outside of Marc Marquez, 1:45.861 last time around for Espargaro. And what that means is that Maverick Vinales hasn't been able to make any impression on his teammate. Vinales is 1.2 seconds back in 5th. Marquez got a brilliant start from the middle of that front row. Vinales had a big wheelie off the line on the Suzuki, costing crucial meters on that run down. Marquez got the run down to the 1st corner. Lorenzo was aggressive up the inside of Rossi, and then he was even more aggressive. Look at him picking up Marc Marquez through that 1st corner. Brilliant by Lorenzo.
Absolutely superb stuff from Lorenzo. There we go, we're right with Andrea Dovizioso, right behind Valentino Rossi. There's Lorenzo up the inside. And he just drives that Yamaha through on that tight line, doesn't he?
That was like what Maverick Vinales did to Marquez and Lorenzo, wasn't it, in Aragon a couple of weeks ago. The gap now between Lorenzo and Dovizioso, as you look at the replay of the field piling down into turn number 11, one of the most severe braking zones on the World Championship calendar. You're scrubbing off over 200 kilometres an hour. And Marc Marquez is doing that. He's about 300 kilometres an hour, tapped in 6th gear when he grabs the front brake. And he goes all the way down to 2nd gear for a 75 kilometres an hour corner, braking with one finger.
Back to the live pictures. This is the 90-degree corner for Marc Marquez.
It's down to 0.8 of a second, Nick, the gap between Lorenzo and Dovizioso, with Aleix Espargaro hanging right in there. He's just 0.3 behind Dovizioso.
They've just cut the string on those T-shirt bags on the garage that declare something that we daren't even mention at the moment.
Guys, I'm just going to bring it down to Yamaha very quickly. I'm here with Massimo Merigali. My very unfortunate crash for Valentino. Do you know what the problem was? It rider error, something with the front tire or the brakes?
No, I just said that he was pushing hard. He still believe that he didn't push too much. But anyway, now they are just checking the data to see what really happened.
And is he absolutely okay?
Yeah, he's okay. Thank you very much.
Hey, thanks, Mayo.
Well, arriving Marquez down towards turn 5. Go through the first of the tunnels with the oval going over the top here at the twin ring Motegi circuit.
Marc Marquez last time around, he did a 1:45.8. Again, I can't remember how many laps in succession now. He's just been in that 1:48 barrier. So consistent. Lorenzo's responding a little bit here. He's eked his advantage in 2nd place over Dovizioso to just about a second.
Back with Marquez at turn 9. This tricky left-hander caught a lot of people out this weekend. Not as many people that have been caught out up here, though, coming into the hairpin. This is where Rossi went down while lying in 2nd place, just about there. Marquez himself has crashed there on a Friday afternoon. Let's hear through that gearbox and he races down towards the 90-degree corner. Later Sparrow hanging on to the rear wheel of Dovizioso's Ducati.
Just look at the acceleration of that Ducati out of that hairpin. Dovizioso's able to take 3, 4, 5 bike lengths out of Aleix Espargaro when they pick up the throttle out of that 1st gear turn number 10.
Through the more nimble parts of the circuit, Suzuki closes up on them, doesn't he? Then of course he gets to the acceleration points and bang, he's away again. So Marquez crosses the line, 3.7 seconds in his front. And Lorenzo's got it up to 1 second, just about 1 second. So Lorenzo certainly has responded in 2nd place.
Yes, but the first time in quite a few laps now that Dovizioso and Aleix Espargaro have dropped into the 146s. Lorenzo's been in the low 146s for a time. Aleix Espargaro just in a fraction too hot at turn number 3. Got to keep his calm here. It's easy to get frustrated because he knows that Ducati's just such a hard motorcycle to overtake, because with these low gear hairpins, the acceleration and horsepower that the Ducati's got coming out of the corner just makes, it's like a bungee cord effect, isn't it? Aleix Espargaro can close upon the brakes, and then, like I say, as Nick said, he can use the agility of that sweet handling GSX-RR chassis through the twisty sections. But every time they pick up the throttle out of a low gear corner like turn 9, turn 10, turn 14, the victory corner, the Ducati's just got the better legs on the acceleration.
And with no disrespect to Aleix Espargaro, he's not the most patient of people, is he?
Well, his patience is about to be tested.
Well, that's exactly right. He's got to remain patient. Maverick Vinales really is making no great impression on them. So it's a great ride by Aleix Espargaro. There they are, onto the back straight. This is Dovizioso in 3rd place, Lorenzo in 2nd. And they cross the line. We'll check out that time once again, because the laps are beginning to knock down a bit. It will be just 9 laps remaining when they cross the line. Lorenzo through this double left and then into the victory corner. Pull back 0.2 of a second. Let's see when they go across the line what the gap is going to be between Lorenzo and Dovizioso.
Yeah, 0.6. Lorenzo now is just surviving on pure adrenaline alone. He will be hurting. We heard from Massimo Merigali, Yamaha team boss. He woke up this morning feeling very, very stiff, very sore after that almighty crash at turn 2 yesterday. And we're getting into the final stage of this Grand Prix where fatigue will be a big issue. The pain he'll be dealing with as well.
Let's just get it exactly right, Matt. So, all 3 of these chasing him have got to get in front of him if Marquez is going to be world champion.
Well, no higher than 4th for Lorenzo, and Marquez is world champion. With Rossi out of the equation, So it's all about what Jorge Lorenzo can do. You can see Dovizioso's closing. Although, having said that, Lorenzo took another 10th out of him in the first sector. Maverick Vinales, it looks like he's coming back into contention as well. Aleix Espargaro might just be running out of grip in the final phase of this race. And that'll be good news for Jorge Lorenzo. Bad news for Marc Marquez, and he wants to wrap up the World Championship today in Japan.
I'm sure he does, in fact, for all the right reasons, certainly being at the home of Honda. Here is Lorenzo, still running in second place, as Matt says, riding on adrenaline. An horrendous accident for him yesterday. Airlifted to hospital to have a CT scan, came back, went to the actual helicopter to go to hospital in a wheelchair and with a drip. Came back and qualified on the front row of the grid. Woke up this morning feeling very stiff. Gigi Dell'Ini, the boss of Ducati, looks on. Can he see Dovizioso get past the man that's going to be his teammate next season at Ducati, Jorge Lorenzo? And what about the others? 8 to go. Marquez is already across the line, but all eyes now figure on this battle for second place, and Dovizioso is closing.
Aleix Espargaro is the man that's struggling. Did he overcook those tyres, trying to hang in there in that battle for the podium, because he's fallen a second now behind Dovizioso. It was a mid-146 for Aleix Espargaro. Last time around, Vinales was half a second quicker. So Espargaro coming under real pressure now from his teammate. Here's the Japanese wildcard, Katsuyuki Nakasuga. He crosses the line in 12th place.
Yeah, it's a point scoring for Yoni Hernandez, should be crossing the line in 13th, and Bradley Smith in 14th place. And as Matt was saying, his maximum run so far this weekend has been 6 laps. He's got 8 laps to go, and I think if Jorge Lorenzo is suffering, I think Bradley Smith is probably suffering even more. There he is, the familiar number 38. He has missed the last 3 Grand Prix with that very serious right knee injury.
Aleix Espargaro's really suffering now because Maverick Vinales is all over him. There you can see as they come through turn number 9. We're on board with Vinales. He's going to be close enough to make an attack on his teammate very, very shortly, because Vinales is now less than, well, you can clearly see he's less than 0.2 of a second. Vinales was over 1.5 seconds behind Aleix Espargaro just 2 or 3 laps ago, so you think that Aleix Espargaro is definitely having some grip issues. Post-mortem goes on in the factory Yamaha garage between Valentino Rossi, the Yamaha technicians. Mixon will be involved as well.
This is Lorenzo through the victory corner. There will be 7 laps to go. Marc Marquez has already crossed the line. Marquez is disappearing into this glorious autumnal afternoon sunshine, almost a 4-second advantage. And it's just around 0.4 of a second. You're almost not having to look at the timing screen now, because you can see how close Dovizioso is behind Lorenzo.
Yeah, it looks like it's a case of not if, but when Vinales will be able to pick off Aleix Espargaro for 4th place. Might be a little bit too late for Vinales to drag himself into contention for 3rd. He's got, what, about 6.5 laps to go. Surely he's going to make a move now at the inside of Aleix Espargaro at turn 5. He does, safely through. But he's in a bit too hot, and Aleix Espargaro sweeps straight back up the inside. Vinales just got in a fraction too hot, had to let off the brake, and he ran wide, and Aleix Espargaro back into 4th place.
Teammates they may be, but this counts for an awful lot. Vinales closes up on him through turn 7 there, up at turn 8. He got through momentarily. Is he closing up again at turn 9? It's a difficult place to overtake. Up towards the hairpin, the 2 Suzuki slog it out in this battle for 4th place. Into the hairpin now, Vinales surely will get as good drive as he can out of here and get some sort of slipstream.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Vinales at the moment's got the faster pace. He's just got to make sure that when he does attack, he makes it stick. Not close enough down the downhill straight this time to attack Aleix Espargaro.
Not an easy man to overtake on the brakes, is he, Aleix Espargaro? He will, as I say, take risks, but he will leave it very, very late indeed. Here is Lorenzo, just hanging on by his fingernails. 0.6 of a second they're showing him that Dovizioso's behind him. Looks a little bit closer than that. Well, probably just a 10th closer. We ride with Vinales, because that is Aleix Espargaro in front of him through turns 1 and 2, down towards 3 and 4.
been a good response by Aleix Espargaro. He's fighting hard. He wants that 4th place. That would be a season best result for him, beating the 5th places that he had very early on in the season in Texas and in Jerez.
There you go. Lorenzo would be in 2nd place in the championship with 71 points. That would be 6 in front of his teammate Valentino Rossi, who has crashed out of the race. This is a tremendous all-Suzuki battle. Let's hope it doesn't end in tears. Here comes Vinales up on the brakes through turn 7. Espargaro will try and pull back, try to get round the outside, now try and dive up the inside. I think Vinales has made it stick this time round, coming into turn 9, but you never know with Aleix Espargaro.
He had it covered, Vinales. He knew he had the inside line at turn 7. If he could squeeze it tight running through turn 8, there was no way that Aleix Espargaro could retaliate, so he had that well covered, Vinales. Now he's threatened to have the pace to break away from Aleix Espargaro, but he's left it too late. 1.5, well, he's 1.7 seconds now behind Dovizioso in that battle for 3rd with only, what, just over 5 laps to go, so a lot of work to do for Vinales to take another podium finish.
This is turn 11. Another worry about the back tyre in these situations, do you? Because you haven't got it on the ground very much. It's Marc Marquez. And just look at what that front tyre is having to deal with.
Yeah, the braking forces there were so extreme. The force on your upper body as well. Dovizioso over the line to start lap 20. The gap as close as it's been so far between himself and Lorenzo. It's down to 4/10. Look at this race run by Marquez. The predicted race pace was mid-145 as well. That was pretty accurate, wasn't it? 145. It took Marc Marquez until lap 15 to just drop into the 146. He's got this completely under control, almost 4 seconds clear of Lorenzo. Stroll in the park for Marquez now.
It's a brave ride from Lorenzo after that big crash yesterday. He's holding off the challenge of Andrea Dovizioso. There's 4.5 laps to go. It's the battle for 2nd place. It does appear that the battle between the two Suzukis means that Maverick Vinales will not catch them. And it does mean that we will go to Phillip Island in Australia in 1 week's time.
Oh, Lorenzo's down. That's it. It's game over. Marquez is the world champion.
Never say never in MotoGP. Marc Marquez could be crowned the 2016 world champion. First Valentino Rossi goes. Now Jorge Lorenzo has gone.
Can you believe it? Marc Marquez now, of course he's not the world champion, he's still got 4 laps of the twin ring Motegi circuit to complete himself. But is this the pivotal moment? Jorge Lorenzo at turn number 9 taps the throttle back in, loses the front end of that factory Yamaha, and now Marc Marquez has 1 hand and 4 fingers on the MotoGP World Championship trophy. Here is Lorenzo, turn number 9, tips it in, just feeds the throttle back in. Did he just unload the front end? Well, disastrous weekend for Yamaha. Anxious faces now in that factory Honda garage. They know what this means. Marc Marquez is just 4 laps away from winning a 3rd MotoGP world title in 4 years.
Does Marquez know that Lorenzo is out? Well, we're about to find out. He's coming down towards the 90-degree corner. Well, everything that has happened this weekend, it's not over yet. You're just not sure, are you?
What did we say at the start of the programme, Nick? It's very unlikely, the scenario for Marquez to win the World Championship, but after everything we've seen so far in 2016, we would not be surprised, and we haven't been let down, have we?
We certainly have not been let down. You're absolutely right there, Matt, in every single way. A familiar number 93. 125 world champion, Moto2 world champion, double MotoGP world champion, the youngest ever rider to win a MotoGP race, the youngest ever rider to win the MotoGP world champion. We ride with Andrea Dovizioso at turn 9 as we see Jorge Lorenzo crash out. Despair at Yamaha.
I think the Yamaha management there were just asking Lynn Jarvis, is that championship over? And Lynn Jarvis just said, well, if Marc Marquez gets the checkered flag, then yeah, it is all over. They're going to get, Marc Marquez is going to get the pit board, Lorenzo out, and he will have the biggest smile in the whole of East Asia, the biggest smile in the whole world, because Marc Marquez, well, he's already had the pit board, Lorenzo out, and he is now, what, 3 laps away from winning the World Championship. It would be his 5th world title.
Right with Andre Dovizioso on the Ducati. 2nd place for the Ducati is Maverick Vinales in 3rd place. There is Vinales, Aleix Espargaro. What a brave ride by him, and it looks like he's probably going to finish off the podium in 4th spot. Cal Crutchlow 5th, Paul Espargaro 6th, Alvaro Bautista on the Aprilia. That's his best ever Aprilia result, running in 7th. Petrucci and Redding still slogging out 8 and 9. Stefan Bradl in 10th.
Maverick Vinales, of course, will be back on the podium now for the first time since his victory at the British Grand Prix at Silverstone. Joy for Suzuki in their home Grand Prix. That would be their first podium finish since Kenny Roberts Jr. won the race here in 2000 in the twin rim Motegi. What a day.
Nakasuga has gone over the line in 11th, Hernandez 12th, Bradley Smith in 13th, Rabat 14th, Oyama replacing the injured Danny Pedrosa in 15th place, and Loris Baz in 16th.
Can you believe what we've seen here today in Japan? It was the unlikeliest of scenarios for Marc Marquez to win the World Championship. He kept his end of the bargain by leading this Japanese Grand Prix, but what he needed was Rossi to finish no higher than 15th and Lorenzo to finish no higher than 4th. You wouldn't have put €1 on that happening, would you? But Rossi crashed at turn number 10. With Lorenzo in 2nd place, we were still going to Phillip Island in Australia to determine whether Marc Marquez would wrap up the World Championship. Well, that wait is going to be over very shortly because Lorenzo crashing out 2nd. Marc Marquez will very shortly, I think, crown the 2016 MotoGP World Champion. I'm saying nothing though, after everything that's happened.
Just surrounding the Phillip Island situation is going to be. There is Vinales, yeah, be his 3rd podium finish in the MotoGP class. It was at Le Mans, he finished 3rd, he won it at Silverstone. Here is Marc Marquez, he's the bright boy, he worked it out exactly what the situation is, I can absolutely promise you. Under 2 laps to go, and he could be crowned the 2016 MotoGP World Champion with 3 rounds of the 18-round championship still remaining. He's at turn 5.
And whatever you say about Marc Marquez, he is a fully merited 2016 World Champion. All the mistakes of last year, 6 Grand Prix he didn't finish in 2015. Well, he's cut all those mistakes out. There is Jorge Lorenzo. Brave, brave ride, you have to say. Her heroic effort by the what will soon be former MotoGP World Champion Lorenzo. Here we go, this is at turn number 9 where Marc Marquez is now. That's where Jorge Lorenzo's challenge came to a bitter end. Bitter pill to swallow for Lorenzo because he'd ridden through the pain barrier after that big crash at turn 2 yesterday.
1.5 laps to go, turn 10. This is where Marquez crashed out. You won't need reminding about that on Friday. Now onto the downhill back straight through the gearbox of the Repsol Honda. Now on the brakes, the 90-degree corner.
What a feeling this must be. You're about, what, 5 kilometres away from becoming the MotoGP World Champion. Doesn't get any better than this for Marc Marquez.
He's had an absolutely brilliant season. He's always been a great motorcycle racer, but he's matured as a racer. Piled on the pressure when he's had to. This will be his, what, 6th Grand Prix victory of the season. But he's kept his powder dry when he's had to as well and picked up some very important points. Good ride from Andre Dovizioso, but this afternoon will be about one man, the 23-year-old Spaniard, Marc Marquez. Here is Pedrosa, 3rd place, Maverick Vinales. He's seen his one of his new Yamaha teammates for next season crash out, Valentino Rossi, and then Jorge Lorenzo crashing out. And they're not watching.
They can barely watch. They know what's coming. Their man's about to be the new MotoGP World Champion, Marc Marquez. He did it here 2 years ago, of course, in 2014. This will be the 4th time a MotoGP World Champion has been crowned at the Twin Rim Motegi.
Dad looks on. Looks calm, I'm sure he's not. Half a lap to go. He's coming now to turn 9. This is the corner that caught out Jorge Lorenzo. Accelerates away up to the hairpin turn 10, where he crashed out on Friday.
4 corners then for Marc Marquez to negotiate around this Twin Rim Motegi circuit. They are getting ready. The gold letters. Magic Marc Marquez is about to become the 2016 MotoGP World Champion. 4 corners to go now for Marc Marquez. He's down at turn number 11. What a feeling this must be for the Spaniard.
Through the tunnel for the last time. 2 left-handers in the victory corner between the world title for the 23-year-old Spaniard, Marc Marquez. Marquez crosses the line. He wins here in Japan. He is the 2016 MotoGP World Champion.
Number 1 on the pit board, number 1 in the championship for Marc Marquez. Podium completed by Andrea Dovizioso. Maverick Vinales on the Suzuki in 3rd. Great ride by Aleix Espargaro to take 4th place. Cal Crutchlow wheelies over the line for 5th. There are tears of joy, ecstasy for Marc Marquez's crew. Santi Hernandez breaks down, his crew chief, in floods of tears. What a moment for them. Valentino Rossi and Jorge Lorenzo both crashing out of a dramatic Japanese Grand Prix. Round of applause from the boss, president of the Honda Motor Company. What a time for Marc Marquez to wrap up the World Championship in Honda's backyard.
Well, let's be honest, it wasn't expected. And suddenly the Yamaha challenge, first with Valentino Rossi out of 2nd place, going down at the hairpin. And then a seemingly certain podium finish for Jorge Lorenzo meant that we would be going to Phillip Island before the championship was going to be decided. Then at turn 9, 4 laps to go, down he went. And Marquez is and celebrates as the new world champion.
Yeah, great
His 3rd MotoGP world title.
Great to see younger brother Alex Marquez there joining in the celebrations. They can't believe it. They're in shock. They can't believe the fact that Valentino Rossi and Jorge Lorenzo crashed out of that race. As we said, Marc Marquez knew that if he won the race, you could hear the pair of them. Brilliant celebrations. Didn't take them long to crack open those boxes of T-shirts, did they?
No, it certainly did not. They did well to get out there that quick, didn't they? Because I really don't think they thought they were going to do it. There is Marc Marquez's dad. There is his younger brother. And here he is. The crowd salute the 2016 world champion, Marc Marquez. He can't believe it, Marc Marquez. I don't think he was mentally prepared for it, do you? No. I don't think he thought it could be possible.
Listen to those celebrations. Marquez got to fly. Marquez leads from Rossi. 2nd victory in a row.
What a ride! They're side by side. Marquez fights the fastest riding.
That's really aggressive from Marc Marquez.
Big way to winning that 2016 world title. We salute 2016 MotoGP World Champion, his 6th Grand Prix victory of the season. 3 rounds to go. And there we go. I think they were already on the plane to Phillip Island and they had to bring them back.
Yeah, love that T-shirt. Give me 5, the high 5. Well, it is now 5 World Championships for Marc Marquez. 1 in the 125cc class back in 2010. The Moto2 World Champion in 2012. And now for the 3rd time in MotoGP. You know, he can't believe it. He did not expect to be wrapping up the World Championship today. There is a very happy Honda Motor Company president, Takahiro Hachigo.
T-shirts like that very often.
No, I'm sure he doesn't. Takahiro Hachigo. You might have to be writing a few more checks for Marc Marquez pretty soon. There'll be a very hefty championship bonus. There's the gold-plated helmet for Marc Marquez. We just heard one of the Spanish contingent here saying, "Campeón, champion."
Great for the crowd here at Motegi to see a world champion crown. And there you go. Valentino Rossi cannot catch him. Oh, look at the youngest rider to clinch the world titles. Marc Marquez, Valentino Rossi, the late great Mike Howard. Absolutely icons of the sport. He still can't believe it. I think he'd have been mentally prepared at Phillip Island to take the title and everything that surrounded it.
Well, all weekend he said it was pretty much impossible for him to win the World Championship. I mean, I'm struggling to recall off the top of my head quickly the last time that Rossi and Lorenzo would have crashed out of the same race together. That's how unlikely it was. Maverick Vinales then, courtesy of that late crash for Jorge Lorenzo.
Yeah, good job by Maverick Vinales. Great ride by his teammate Aleix Espargaro as well. Cal Crutchlow another 5th place. Paul Espargaro 6th.
Let us know what you think about that incredible Japanese Grand Prix. Bottom right-hand corner of your screens there, the hashtag for social media. Hashtag #GiveMe5. Marc Marquez, the world champion here in Japan. You won't get too many more dramatic outcomes to a world championship than that one. It might not have gone down to a nail-biting final round decider. What a way for Shuhei Nakamoto to be bowing out as the HRC vice president. His golden handshake just got bigger as well, didn't it?
Yeah.
This was one of the decisive moments of the Grand Prix. Valentino Rossi crashing out at turn number 10. The World Championship was still on ice here for Marc Marquez because Jorge Lorenzo was still circulating in 2nd place. It was all over for Rossi. At this stage, though, the championship wasn't decided. A little bit later on, though, at a corner earlier, turn number 9, here we are with Lorenzo, and this was game over for the World Championship.
Turn 9, Jorge Lorenzo. Front end tucks away. He's weary, he's battered, he's bruised.
You know what, I've got to say, Lorenzo didn't deserve that after the performance he's put up so far, after that crash at turn 2. But it was a mistake, and it means that that man there, Marc Marquez, is the new MotoGP world champion.
Ducati are pretty pleased, and all the celebrations will go next door. But a great ride by Andrea Dovizioso. But here he is on the back straight. Still quite a way for him to arrive actually in Parc Ferme. Crowd of around 50,000 celebrate with Marc Marquez down at the 90-degree corner.
They thought those T-shirts were going to get broken out at Australia this weekend.
They're probably already in the flight cases, weren't they? Yeah, congratulations to Marc Marquez, a very worthy MotoGP world champion indeed. Lost the title last year, didn't he, to Jorge Lorenzo. Changed his attitude a little bit, not quite so gung-ho. Rode some great races this season. But when he had to really push on, Aragon and here, he had the ability to do just that.
Yeah, when the opportunities came his way, he took them. And when he couldn't win, he just settled for the crucial World Championship points, and that patience paid off. You don't very often see riders doing burnouts with the engine restrictions in MotoGP, but I think they'll probably just let him off as he bounces it off the rev limiter.
So they should.
Yeah, he cannot believe it.
Yeah.
And after that tricky 2015, Nick, he took a lot of criticism last year, didn't he?
He did, from a lot of people, including Valentino Rossi. Well, I think he's proved his point, don't you? Brilliant season for Marquez.
I think my stats right, becomes the 4th rider in history to win 5 Grand Prix World Championships with Jorge Lorenzo, Mick Doohan and Anton Mang. Yeah, that's the song, Campeón del Mundo, world champion. Pretty nice ring to it, hasn't it, for Marc Marquez?
Certainly has.
There's going to be a heck of a party somewhere tonight in Japan.
Yeah, what is it? The usual place is the cage near Narita Airport, where the old karaoke takes place. Boy, that'll be a place to be tonight, wouldn't it?
Yeah, he would not have believed that Jorge Lorenzo and Valentino Rossi were going to crash out of that Grand Prix. But
that's his dad giving him a big hug.
Emilio Alzamora, of course. Long-term manager and mentor for Marc Marquez, discovered him way back as, I think he was a 12-year-old. Straight away, he recognised that he got a special talent on his hands. As Shuhei Nakamoto just embracing Marc Marquez. He's about to end his tenure as the HRC vice president. No better way to do it than that.
And signing off with a bang, and Livio Supo, the Honda Racing boss there as well. I think it's caught everybody. Certainly caught Marc Marquez, and it's certainly caught the team a little bit by surprise, but he is the world champion. And we called it at the start of the program. Never say never after this incredible season of MotoGP, and that's exactly what happened. And if something had happened when Jorge Lorenzo crashed out, I wouldn't have been that surprised. I'd have said, well, that's just part and parcel of it. But it didn't, because he has ridden quite brilliantly this weekend.
I'm not sure Marc Marquez is going to be able to do any post-race interviews. He'll be losing his voice pretty soon. He's been doing that much screaming and shouting.
Maverick Vinales then third place with Dylan.
Well, Maverick, you made it back onto the podium the first time since Silverstone, though it looked like quite a difficult race. 6 laps before the end, you managed to catch Aleix, but how difficult was it to get past?
Yeah, it was difficult because Aleix is a really good breaker, so it was so difficult to overtake him. Anyway, I was trying to save the tires until the end, trying to catch Aleix and Dobby. Finally, when I see that I could be third, I just tried to keep the position and bring this podium to Suzuki. I think for us it's really important. We are improving all the time, and I think we did a really good race.
Thanks a lot, Maverick. Congratulations.
Yeah, third podium finish of the season for Maverick Vinales. That win at Silverstone, a podium at Le Mans, and a very good ride by him. And a terrific all-Suzuki battle between him and his teammate Aleix Espargaro. Of course, both will leave Suzuki at the end of the season. Still the celebrations go on. Just calm down a little bit. Actually talked about the race yet. Andrea Dovizioso on the Ducati in second place with Dylan.
Well, Dobby, you knew before the race you had the pace to get onto the podium. You managed to get second, but how tough was it? Especially at the start, you had a lot of pressure from Aleix.
Yes, I didn't make it. I mean, I did a good start, but Valentino went on the left, and I have to close the throttle. So for me, it was quite difficult to recover, but I have the speed. So at that moment, I didn't push 100%. But after Valentino and Valentino crashed, so I decided to try to be smooth because I have to do a long race. And I was behind Lorenzo, but he couldn't push really a lot, and I knew I can catch him. And he made a mistake. He did a mistake, but really a good weekend. It was very important for us. Really, thank you to Ducati. We worked really well this weekend, and thank you to all the fans.
Thanks a lot, Dobby. Congratulations.
Yeah, really good ride by Andrea Dovizioso. Got that Ducati. It's his 4th podium of the season. Fortunately, his teammate Hector Barber, his new teammate Hector Barber, crashed out. Did eventually finish in 17th place. 18th place was Mike Jones. Great ride by the Australian. 1 lap down, but he completed the race. Brave ride also by Bradley Smith into 13th place.
Yeah, Ducati's first podium here in Twin Rim Motegi since Casey Stoner in 2010. As Cal Crutchlow just gate crashing the Suzuki photograph.
I'll join in, but of course again he's in Parc Ferme, top independent teams rider. I'm sure we're going to have a word with Marc Marquez at some point. Here he is. Congratulations, the 2016 World Champion.
Well, Marc, congratulations. You are the world champion. You're 5th in 7 seasons. But tell us, what was it like when you saw that pit board, Lorenzo out those final 3 laps?
Yeah, honestly, you know, amazing. Amazing feeling because I didn't expect before the race. I already said on Thursday that here will be impossible. But then when I saw on 3rd lap or 4th lap Rossi out, then I said, okay, I push 100% and I go for the victory. And I was pushing, but when remain 3 laps in the pit wall, I see Lorenzo out. And that lap, honestly, I make a mistake maybe in 4 or 5 corners. I fold the gear, everything, because it was so difficult to concentrate. But now really happy because you know it's really special after last year's season. Come back in the top, Honda, Motegi. Really happy with my team, with the mechanics, and of course I don't want to forget my grandmother that died this year. And this title, she will be very happy.
Thank you very much, Marc. Congratulations.
Congratulations to Marc Marquez. An absolutely brilliant season, typified by his performance here in Japan. Marquez at his very best.
Yeah, he made a lot of people very happy today, Marc Marquez. 89th podium finish of his career. His 50th actually in MotoGP. Well, there's been tears all round, hasn't there?
Look, yeah. Yeah, a few tears, yes.
A few
for
tears
the
in that-
Yamaha supporters.
yeah, a few tears in that factory Yamaha garage, because I'm not going to say that they gifted the championship.
No,
to
they
Marc
gave
Marquez,
it all,
but,
didn't they?
Yeah.
They tried to prevent it. They tried to make it as late as possible, the world title, but it wasn't to be. Just calmed down a little bit now, hasn't he, Marc Marquez? Probably, I don't think it probably hit him yet, do you? Exactly the magnitude of what he has achieved. Cal Crutchlow giving him a hug. Great ride by Crutchlow, again into 5th place. 5th last time out, also in Aragon.
Well, I think that when he said that when he saw the board Lorenzo out and he knew he knew the significance of it, he probably made more mistakes on that lap than he had done all season.
Yeah.
That's been the key to Marc Marquez's year. He's made the fewer mistakes. At the start of the year, we all felt that Honda wasn't the best and the most competitive motorcycle. And we've said all along, where would Honda be without Marc Marquez? Well, he's been absolutely brilliant.
Well, the podium beckons. His 6th Grand Prix victory of the season, the most important of them all. Perhaps even the most important Grand Prix victory of his career, because he's won here at Motegi for the first time, the home of Honda, and he's brought that world title back to Honda from Yamaha. It really doesn't get an awful lot better than that. Team wait to celebrate. Marquez makes his way up towards the podium with Andrea Dovizioso and Maverick Viñales. Banner also depicting that he is the world champion, 5 times now a world champion, the youngest rider in the history of the sport to achieve 5 world titles. What an afternoon it has been here in Japan. Still the Moto2 World Championship to be decided. Obviously, Brad Binder won the Moto3 World title in Aragon 3 weeks ago, and we have a new MotoGP World Champion, 23-year-old Spaniard, Marc Marquez. It's Andrea Dovizioso and Maverick Viñales. Chat between Viñales and Dovizioso. Ippolito, the FIM president, shakes the hand of Marc Marquez. And the crowd now salute the 2016 MotoGP World Champion after his 6th victory of the season here at Twin Ring Motegi in Japan, the home of Honda. Celebrations well underway. Absolutely brilliant day for Honda at their home circuit. So in 3rd place on the Suzuki, his 3rd podium finish of the season, it's Maverick Viñales. In 2nd place, riding the Ducati, it's the Italian Andrea Dovizioso. But following his 6th Grand Prix victory of the season, Marc Marquez is crowned the 2016 MotoGP World Champion. Congratulations to Marc Marquez. 23 years old, Moto3 World Champion, Moto2 World Champion, and now 3 MotoGP World titles. Great day for Honda at their own circuit. They regain the world title from Yamaha. Oh, everybody take a big, deep breath. Whoa. Well, we thought the title was going to be decided at Phillip Island in Australia in 1 week's time.